By now, the GraceGrams have probably arrived, and so it's my turn to tell you about them and what inspired the art. If you don't know me, welcome to my channel. My name is Kayla Bell McHouston, and I'm the founder of GraceGrams. If you don't know what GraceGrams are, it's a postcard club where each month we send out a little postcard of uplifting Christian art. It just brings back the joy of going to the mailbox. A lot of the time going to the mailbox is just such a drag. I created GraceGrams to try to make going to the mailbox fun again so that we can have more happy mail days. And a portion of all of the proceeds go to missionaries, funding missions for me and my husband, and towards other missionaries that we know that we've met that have touched our lives. So it's our way of growing our passion in the kingdom and spreading the love of Jesus while helping others do the same. And so if you want to, go ahead and check out the link in the description and you can sign up. But today I want to tell you all about February's GraceGram. This one is probably the first one that I've ever actually fully been totally excited about, which is kind of sad because each month I should be really excited, but this story behind this one is just so rich, and I'm really excited to share it with you. And I did write out this story on my blog, The Babbling Bell, so if you want to read more about it or maybe read some things that I don't talk about, check it out, also linked down below. Back in January, I was taking a shower when every single fire alarm in my building went off. So I rush out of the shower, put on some clothes. I end up with a hoodie and some PJ pants, no sock, no undies. I grab my Bible, my laptop, my dog, and we book it out of the apartment. When those fire alarms go off, usually I'm cooking and I know that it's not a big deal. I just need to go fan the thing and it will stop. But this one was different. This was every alarm louder than usual in every room. When this panic sets in, my first thought is we're gonna lose everything. There's a big fire happening and it's going down. And so as I'm going down the steps out the door, I look up to the sky. Immediately I'm like looking for the smoke from the fire, and I was so relieved to see that there was no smoke in the sky, which meant there was no fire. But I look up at the building and the apartment right above ours has a waterfall gushing off their porch. Their pipe for their sprinkler system burst right on top of us. When I saw that, I knew that everything wasn't going to get burned, but everything could get soaked. So I ran back upstairs and I started pulling stuff out of the way. And I heard one of the maintenance men people come and say, watch out, because it could come down through the light fixtures and it could come down through the walls. So I just started pulling everything away from the walls and everything that was under a light fixture out. And all of a sudden, before I knew it, everything in my house was totally flipped upside down. Without any warning at all, my whole world was shaken. I was on the phone with apartment managers. I was on the phone with insurance agents. I was on the phone with all kinds of people trying to get this sorted out. There were contractors coming in my house, in and out of my apartment every day to look at the carpet and the walls and everything that got soaked, so they could start doing repairs. In one of the conversations with our apartment manager, we're going over some options, and one of the options is that we might have to move out while they do all the repairs. And our lease is up in 6 months. I don't want to move twice in 1 year, much less move within the next week. Moving is traumatic. I'm sure anyone who's moved a lot in their life can tell you moving is freaking hard. We did not want to move. Out of this desperation and feeling of loss and the feeling that your home is just gone or not stable, that feeling really sucks. We were kind of desperate, and so what did we do? We reached out to our realtor that we've been working with because we do hope to buy a house in the summer when our lease is up. And we just say, hypothetically, what are the odds that we could buy a house in the next 2 weeks? Or 2 months. I don't know exactly how I worded it, but he said, it's not impossible. Can I call you? And so we just had a phone call and we learned that we're not quite there yet with our savings and all that. And so we were just pretty defeated. And we didn't really know what to do. The next day, Damien and I were driving down to youth group because we volunteered there. On a normal day, we probably would have skipped given the circumstances, but it was the first youth group of the year, and we had like a youth leader lunch scheduled for after youth group that day, so we couldn't skip. But we were not in good moods. We were not in high spirits at all. In fact, while we were driving down there, our apartment manager called us again to tell us how long the repairs would take and just going over those options one more time. and we were both feeling really upset. We hung up the phone and the radio was off, and we just drove in silence for a while, and I started to cry, and I didn't want him to hear me crying. So I reached and I turned up the radio, and the first thing we hear is the opening line to Let It Be. It says, "When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be." And when I heard that, I could not hold my tears back. There was no more hiding my tears. It was a full-on sob. And I thought, you know what, God? I guess I do just need to let it be, because this is a horrible situation and I really can't do anything about it. And so might as well just let it be. So we get to our group and we were already late. So they were just starting to play the game. So we just kind of jumped in. It was kind of nice because we got to skip that awkward, like, walking in the room moment. So that was nice. We play the game and we hang out a little bit, and then we go into worship time. And my spirits were so low, and usually when I'm worshiping, I am a crybaby. I can't help it. When the spirit starts moving, I can't help it. I'm gonna cry. We are singing and I'm crying, and I'm sitting there crisscross applesauce on the ground with my face in my hands like this, and I'm just crying. Like, I'm sure people could hear me sniffling and stuff, but I couldn't hold it back. I really just couldn't. And so as I'm sitting there, eyes closed, tears coming down, how he loves us playing in the background, I just start picturing these blue sparkles. And it's really pretty. And all of a sudden, I notice that the sparkles start to outline a house. Not just a house, a castle. And in my spirit, I felt the Lord tell me that he's building us a castle. And so that's the inspiration for the design on this month's GraceGram. You can see I tried to do as good as possible to do the house or the castle and with the sparkles. Like, that's pretty much what my vision looked like. But now the next part is the words. And the words are lyrics from a song that I loved growing up and I still love. And they came to me the following week at youth group once again. All the fun was wrapping up and all the kids started going home, and there are these two kids in the youth group. I'm not going to say any names because they're kids, but they have a mom, and sometimes when the kids have too much fun and they ignore their mom calling them to come outside, the mom will come in to get them. And so this week the mom was inside coming to get them, and so I started chatting with her back and forth, and she was telling me some things she was struggling with, and I was telling her some things I was struggling with. A lot of the things kind of aligned in certain ways, but she gave me a hug, and it just felt like such a good, comforting, motherly hug. Ever since I saw those videos about the cast members from Disney, the characters, how they're trained not to let go of the hug first, I have stopped letting go of hugs first. And I think that she may have been doing the same thing, but we hugged for so long, and she all of a sudden just started praying for me. And just praying in my ear as we were hugging, and she was just praying for me. And what she got from the Lord was a prophetic word saying that he just loves the sense of wonder that I have in my heart. And she was just saying to keep wondering, like, wonder how God is gonna fulfill these dreams that he's given me, and how my life is gonna pan out, and just have that hopeful wonder. And that word, man, wonder, as I sat and I marinated on it, I just kept thinking of that song, I Hope You Dance. I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. And so that is really what inspired the GraceGram. That song taking me back to riding in the backseat of my granny and papa's car through the summers on the way to the farm, just listening to old country songs in the back of granny's car. Man, some good times. February's GraceGram was 100% prompted by the Spirit and what I'm learning. And that's my desire for every month's GraceGram. And that's what I try to do every single month. But this month, it just feels different. Our house has been fully refurbished. We were able to get insurance for our couch that got water damage, my guitar that got water damage. They were in and out fixing the walls and carpet within 2 weeks, and we were able to move back in and have everything back to normal, which is a huge blessing. And as I reflect on what happened, I can honestly say that there was never a moment where God wasn't in control, and there was never a moment where he didn't know what he was doing. There were plenty of moments where I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know what he was doing, but he knew. He had a plan, and his plan was pretty good. And there's more to that story about how other things worked out as we got, replaced from our house. And you can read about that in another blog story. I'll tag it down below as well. I just want to leave you with this. Even in your life when all you can see is destruction, God sees a way out. Jeremiah 29:11 has been so important to me in the past few months of my whole freaking life. But he says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for you to prosper and not to cause you harm, and plans to provide you a hope and a future." And growing in my faith is learning to trust in that word from God. Learning to trust that God has plans for me. He has given me hope, and he's given me a future. And I'm just going to try to keep leaning on that, because that's all I can do, especially in those hard times. But before we go, I just want to pray for you. Dear God, thank you for the lesson that you've given me through the destruction. I pray for whoever's on the other side of the screen, that you can touch their lives, that they can have an encounter with you. And I pray that you can help give them faith and help show them how to have hope and to know that there's hope and a future for their life. And I just speak to any destruction in their lives, that it will be repaired and that it will be even better than it was before, and that they'll come out on top. Holy Spirit, come. I thank you. I love you. Amen. When I was filming, I forgot to mention that the GraceGram's design is linked down below in my Etsy shop for sale as a digital download. Anyways, have a great rest of your day. Love you. Bye.